Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Brewing Business Show. This is a space dedicated to the craft beer industry and entrepreneurs who wants to learn more about mindset, health, wealth, business, and of course, beer. I'm your host, Pedro Meneses, and before we start, I just want to make sure you buckle up, crack open a cold one, and get ready to hear some life-changing information. Cheers. So welcome back everybody to episode 24 of the Brewing Business Show. Guys, today we have a very exciting episode, but before we start, I just want to say thank you to all of you who continue to support this show. If you're a first timer, be sure to check out the previous episodes and leave me a review on iTunes so you can help more people to find the show. And today, I want to introduce you to one of the greatest entrepreneurs that I know. He's a business mentor, speaker, best-selling author, podcaster, and better known as a Side Hustle Millionaire. He has over 27 years of experience in the oil and gas, has managed multi-million dollars international projects, almost 20 years of experience in the automotive aftermarket, digital marketing, branding, restaurants and breweries, and small business consulting and startups. He's also the co-founder of LS1Tech, an online automotive community with over 300,000 registered members that sold for millions in only 5 years after starting as a side hustle, by the way. He is the founder of 365 Driven, his coaching program, and Society of Driven Entrepreneurs. And today, he's here to teach us how we can turn any business or your side hustle into $1 million project and how you can become 365 driven. So welcome to the show, Tony. It is a pleasure to have you here, brother.
Hey, Pedro, thanks for having me on the show, man. I just want to acknowledge you real quick. We got to have a conversation maybe a little bit over a year ago, and I remember this was just an idea for you. And you had a lot of doubt about getting on microphones and using that energy, and I could see it within you, dude. But here we are, and you're doing it, man. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. You know, it was a big step for me. And at the beginning, yeah, you're right. I was a little bit nervous, but I've been having a lot of fun, you know, and I've been enjoying every week when I do this with different guests. And it's exciting, man. It's exciting, all the things that you can learn through having a show like this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know you also have your podcast, and I love your podcast too, man. I listen to every week, and I love all the things that you're doing too, you know, and I think you are causing a great impact, especially in the entrepreneur community, especially also during these crazy times that we're living, huh?
Absolutely, guys. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going out there with political and movements and racism and whatever you want to describe. There's a movement going on probably for that.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, like something that I have learned for the past couple of years, no matter what the hell is going on out there, there's still not a excuse to keep moving forward, keep working hard, improving yourself. And this is the reason why, even in the middle of all this crazy shit, we're still doing this show, you know?
Absolutely. Man, so many people look for convenient excuses not to do what they should be doing. So whenever something big comes across the news headlines or whatever, they're always just looking for that next thing to use as an excuse, whether that's whatever president's in the office or whoever's doing this, or maybe your racial background. It's always some kind of excuse. So when the media provides you easy and convenient ones, it's really easy to get distracted and actually not do anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you're here today with us, so you can help us remove all those excuses, because you have a hell of a story, a hell of a career, man. You have accomplished so many things in life. And this is the reason why I'm excited for you to be here today with us and share all that information. So why don't start first and tell us a little about your background so people can get to know you better and why they know you as a side hustle millionaire, man.
That's a good story, man. I'm half Japanese. My mom was a Japanese immigrant, and she met my dad when he was serving in the Vietnam War as a U.S. Marine. So basically, we grew up lower middle class. Both parents are blue collar, hardworking people. They're both retired now, but they also told me that if I wanted to achieve anything in my life, that I had to go figure out how to do that for myself. So we didn't get allowance and things like that. So at age 10 to 12, I was out knocking on doors, mowing yards, washing cars, walking dogs, whatever I could to make a buck, because that's how I paid for video games and skateboards and bicycles. And it just became a necessity. So I would say entrepreneurship for me was a necessity, a means to go get what I wanted to do or achieve in my life. And it just really started to grow from there. But even for the most part, the first 25 years of my life or so, I still retained the employee mindset, is what I call it, where you think that you got to trade time for dollars, because we hear that fallacy phrase, time is money, money is time. And a lot of people out there still believe that, but we don't understand how to scale and how to make money outside of time, because when we're conditioned from lower middle class America that we have to go clock in somewhere or check in somewhere to get a paycheck, it's all based on hours. And even the funny thing is as you start to escalate in your corporate career, your salary, you get people that are making salary and they look down on the hourly workers sometimes and they think, well, I'm a salary person and they're
Right.
just an hourly person. But what they don't even realize is that if you're making a salary, that's still based on a 52-week year, based on 40 hours a week. That's how they calculate it. So you're literally still an hour person. Honestly, you're probably underpaid because we always work more hours than we get paid in a salary. So there's a lot of things that we had to do. And I just understood that I could, my earliest businesses, I would come home from my engineering job and I would sit at the kitchen table and I'd pull out a little soldering iron and my little resistors. And I would make these little circuits to make, car parts. And I can only make about 3 of these things a night. And I was making about $35 on each of those pieces. So it didn't have to take very long to realize
Wow.
this doesn't scale. I can only make $35, basically spending an hour. So 35 bucks an hour, essentially, when you break it down, but I only have a certain amount of hours per day to make any money. And while it was fun and enjoyed it, and I got to do some early digital marketing, because this was back in 1998 when I first doing online business. And I just realized that this doesn't scale very well. It's really just trading hours and dollars again, man. And started building a company in 2001, and it grew into the largest General Motors performance website on the internet. You mentioned LS1Tech, over 300,000 registered members. So we actually had
That's
advertising,
crazy, man.
marketing, and everything coming from that. And sold that company in 2007 for a couple million. And it was always a part-time job. It literally took me less than an hour per day, and we were making about 400,000 a year. So that's how I started to think about how am I going to make money outside of time. And I've always been figuring out how to be more efficient, how to make money regardless of time. And I think that for the last 20 years, it's just I've taught so many people to do that. And I just started deciding in 2015, I needed to get out of the corporate world and just leave oil and gas behind, because it had a ceiling. And I knew that I was right at the verge of becoming an executive level, but even that is still 20 years away, because I was reporting right underneath the vice presidents in most companies. And I just said, man, it's going to be another 20 years. They're going to promote me on my way out. Just a little attaboy, like, hey, you're a VP of this department. And I was like, I don't want to wait 20 more years of doing this.
Right.
So I left in 2015 and I started coaching people.
Wow, that's a hell of a story, man. It's crazy because, like you mentioned, 1998, I was barely 10 years old when you were start making a lot of money and start building your own business. It's crazy. That's why I admire your experience and everything that you have done. But you mentioned something important, man, and I think that happens a lot across many industries, and I see this a lot in the craft beer industry too. Like that transition from the employee mindset to realize that you are not an employee anymore. Now you run a business, and now you have to take care of that. It's more responsibilities, it's more work, it's more discipline that you have to put into it. But at the end of the day, I mean, you have control over your time. That is one of the most important assets that we have, right? Talk to us a little bit more about how you started to figure out more how to get out of that employee mentality that most of the time affects a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners too.
Well, I think most people could actually benefit by unlearning a lot of the things that we grew up with or we believe in. And until you start to gain that awareness and start to challenge some of the beliefs that you may have, you're probably going to be stuck in that rut, because let's be honest, the vast majority of people stay in that same situation from their first job until they retire. They're never aware that something else exists. So what I would say is to challenge your own beliefs in anything that you believe and try to go to the root cause. Like, where did that come from? Where did I get this lesson from? Who taught me that? Why do I believe this? Is it actually true? And when you start to go do the self-exploration thing of just challenging your own beliefs, whatever those beliefs may be, whether that's your politics, your religion, or your business principles, or your work ethic, or anything that you truly believe, all came from somewhere. You weren't born with this knowledge or this belief
Right.
system. And most people don't realize that even within their politics or within their business mindset, you're literally just born into a family and you adopt a lot of the things that they believe, and you take that as a gospel, because when you're young and you have a relationship with money, you just kind of adopt whatever the other people are showing you around you. So when you start to understand this, go, wow, that's actually opens up a whole world of potential control that I can actually go think about and dig a little bit deeper and figure out where these things come from. And then I can determine as an adult with more experience, is this true or is that not? So to me, like the time and money thing, entrepreneurship, dude, it exists right in front of your face. Even if you work at a job, that company is making money on your time. So they're getting paid based on the hours you are contributing. So that's how you scale time and money. So you and I are having this conversation. I'm earning money in the background. I don't have to be somewhere because I have online businesses that create revenue. There's always something going on. There's investments. There's a lot of different ways to do passive. Best-selling book. I don't know, over $1,000 a month on my book, and I don't even have to deal with it. It's just on Amazon. It gets listed. People buy it, get a check for $1,000 every month. So
Right.
there's a lot of different things you can do to create money without your presence, your physical presence needing to be there. But you have to gain that awareness first. And honestly, the easiest way to think about that as a business owner is that those are employees, people that you can train with your systems and your processes to go do what you need to do or get things done, or a service or a product or whatever you're trying to scale. You just got to be able to multiply and duplicate the effort. And now you're making XXX times what you would have done as an individual. So it's got to think a little bit bigger.
Right. And you know, one of the things I believe why a lot of people is afraid of like scale and start delegating more is because they're afraid of investing in their business too, which is another great issue most entrepreneurs and business owners have. You know, it's like they're so attached to their money. It's like, I don't want to lose money, you know, instead of thinking about an investment for the future and get more time, freedom, so somebody else can take of all that annoying labor, you know, that someone else can do it, you know, and still scale and make more money. Um, Tell us a little bit more about that transition too, because I mean, it's hard, especially in the craft beer industry, man. Like,
Yeah.
I understand some other industries that might think like, okay, it's easy to put a business online. For the craft beer industry, it's been a huge challenge for the past 6 months, you know, because they're hospitality business, and now it's like, how in the fuck we sell beer online, which is possible, you know. It's been a lot of skepticism about it, but it's possible. You have experience with restaurants, so I know you have a wide vision of how that kind of business can be transitioned into an online model, you know.
I think that that's one of the things we talk about. You got to invest money to make money. That's also attached to a self-limiting belief that we commonly hear. It takes money to make money, Pedro. How many times have we heard that? A lot of people truly believe it takes money to make money. I don't know. Sometimes if you don't have the money, you have time. Usually you have one or the other, because if you don't have a lot of money, you usually have a lot of time. If you have a lot of time, then you can actually learn to do things without spending money. So for example, if you're building a web page or starting a podcast or writing a book, if you've got plenty of time, you could learn to do those things yourself if you have some interest and not have to pay anybody to do that. Or if you have the money and not the time, you just pay somebody else that has the expertise to shortcut that process to get to the next bigger problem. We're always looking for the next bigger problem. It's the way you think about that. So the faster you can get through the little problems, you'll start to grow. You'll get to the next big problems. But that whole, it takes money to make money, that's a big bullshit fallacy that a lot of people say, because the thing is a lot of people out there don't have money. And I get that. I've been there. I've been broke. I understand that. But they hear that excuse perpetuated by their friends and their circles and the people that they look up to. And they truly believe that because they've never questioned it. So they go look in their wallet and they go, man, I got no money in my wallet, so I guess I can't start a business. They basically just shut off their brain. They don't think about anything else. And they just go, I'm at a dead end. It's just done. I'm not going to happen until I can somehow make money. So this cycle repeats through their entire lives. They're living paycheck to paycheck and they don't understand why they're not growing. And you nailed it, Pedro. You got to be able to invest in yourself and into your business before it to grow. So it's just like watering a plant. It's not going to grow unless you water it. And think about this, is there are so many people focused on education. I mean, if you're a parent or you've gone through a university, people are okay with spending thousands of dollars to go get an education, to get prepared for what's coming, right? And they're okay with that. If you said, hey, if college is $50,000 to $100,000, nobody's like, they're like, oh, cool. That's cool. I get it. Yeah, that's expected. So, that's a perfect example of how society is okay with them investing in themselves. And let's be honest, most degree plans out there aren't worth a shit, aren't going to even guarantee the money that they're spending for that degree in 10 years. So when you think about that, it's like these people are okay with investing in stuff like that, but they're not investing in themselves. Think about all the knowledge you can gain by working with somebody that's done what you want to achieve, even if that's for free. If you were to go work for free from somebody that's just killing it in the industry or the game that you're wanting to do, that's like getting a free college education from actually someone that has more practical experience than a professor that's just lecturing you on a whiteboard who's never applied any of their knowledge in their life to any level of success. So you got to realize, like, maybe you should go work for free and be an apprentice to somebody that actually knows what they're doing for free for 2-3 years. And then maybe that's investing in your knowledge and your skill set. They're going to be able to blossom from that on the back end. So a lot of people overlook these opportunities because they think about money, but you got to invest, and you got to understand that when you invest, be prepared for the gains in your business, because sometimes you don't see it. Sometimes you do. There's always some kind of a bottleneck or something that's going to delay the process or slow down your customer service or the quality. So you just got to look ahead and see where those bottlenecks are and just tackle those problems one by one as you come on them.
what you just mentioned right now about people being okay with is paying $50,000 for a degree that, like you said, it's not going to even be worth it in 10 years. And when you can actually start a business for less than $1,000, like the market brewing company, I didn't even spend $500 to start it. And I'm sure that you have started business also with zero money. And now you're making multiple 6 or 7 figures out of those business, because of the fact that, again, like you just saying, money is not a factor for you to be successful and grow and becomes the person that you really want to be in life. So,
Man, absolutely. I think the average salary in the United States is around 50,000, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I looked, but I think it's about 50,000. So there's a lot of people, the vast majority of people out there have not achieved 100,000, and they think that's their benchmark. They all want to get to the 6-figure range. And I get that there's probably some listeners here that maybe haven't touched that yet, but you got to realize that it's easier to get to 6 figures than you think, especially as a business owner. If you learn from the right things, listen to these podcasts, read books, surround yourself with people that actually know what they're talking about. And you're going to start to pick up those things and be able to apply those to your company. And you're going to start to see results, because the way I compare it to corporate versus entrepreneurship, I came from a very high paid corporate industry, oil and gas, project manager. I was making over $200,000 a year, just salary range. So when you think about that, it takes 20 years to reach 200,000 in most high paying industries. Most industries don't even come close to that. They're staying like they top out at 150 as an executive in some of these smaller industries. So when you think about that, I got 20 years to make 200,000, or I can go start a business and maybe make that in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, not 20. If it takes you 20 years to make 200,000 in business, you're probably either one, you're working in the wrong business, or two, you're just not really good at managing business.
Right, that's true. That's the reality. And just to change a little bit about changing gears a little bit, because you mentioned like the average salary is like $50,000, right? And there's business owners that probably make around that or even less, at some point. And I know that can be frustrating, especially for a business owner. But during this time, everybody's trying to pivot. Like every single business had to change their business model and have to change the way they do things around. And it has been a very interesting time that I believe is a perfect opportunity to grow. For me, like you were just saying, like I just decided to take action because I was surrounded with the right people. That's why I started a podcast. That's why I started my marketing company. That's why we started a real estate company with my wife. That's why we started different things during this crazy time, because we just surrounded with the right people. We're learning the things that we want to learn, and we're investing in the time, the things that are serving to our purpose. But talking more into the side hustles, because especially right now that everybody's trying to make some extra money. You are the master in side hustles. That's how you make millions of dollars, right? And that's one of the purpose of your books, how to teach people how they can turn that side hustle into a multi-million-dollar business, right?
Yeah.
And how not to treat it as a small hustle, a side hustle, because if you treat it as a side hustle, that's how you're going to get paid as a side hustle too, right? So talk to us a little about that process that anybody watching this right now or listening in the future can start to make those changes in their business, even if it's a side hustle, so they can start making more money.
So here's an interesting story about that. When I started to think about what I was going to write, this book, I did some research on the existing books and the existing professionals or the leaders in that category of teaching people to start businesses on the side. And me being someone that's always wanting to be a student and learn new things, I ordered all these books on Amazon just to kind of do some research to see what they were saying. And I was disappointed. I'm reading these books, and these are best-selling books from people who are positioned as the experts in side businesses and side hustles. And I'm thinking I'm going to learn something from these guys, right?
Right.
What I really quickly understood is that they teach people to think too damn small. There's too many people thinking too damn small. They're thinking like, hey, it's a side business, like it's a side dish on your plate. So it's that broccoli or that asparagus that you don't like to eat. It's just this little side thing, but you got the big juicy steak that you're really focused on in the middle of the plate. So I started really quickly thinking like, how are these people experts in this industry if they're teaching people to, if you work really hard, Pedro, you can make an extra $300 a month. And I'm thinking $300 a month. It's like I make $300 on an email just by selling one thing in one of my online businesses. So what is this whole month thing? Like, why are these people that are positioned as experts teaching people to think so small? And I was like, okay, well, maybe that book's just a bad example. Let me try this book. And it kept happening over and over and over. And I said, you know what? This is some bullshit. Like people that have that mentality when they start their business, that it's just going to be this little side dish, and I hope I can make $1,000 extra a month, Pedro. Like when you have that mentality when you start, you're just setting yourself up for failure. So I started thinking, man, I need to teach these people to think bigger. I've done that. You know, my side businesses were making $40,000 a month. When you think about that as a side business, less than an hour a day, and several people have made more than me. That was like, yeah, I get that it's higher than average, but there's people out there made a lot more than me with side businesses.
Right.
So I started thinking, okay, I need to write this book and teach people to think a little bit bigger, because the possibilities, why would you limit yourself? And the number one thing I see from people that I've known as business owners for a long time, even full-time business owners that I've known a long time, they don't treat things serious. They take it as a hobby. When you go into that thing, like you said, if you treat things like a hobby business, you're going to get hobby results. And when you're competing in the open market of the internet and the social media and everybody out there with legit businesses in that industry that you want to be, if you're talking about craft beer, okay, that's a big industry, multi-billion-dollar industry. And if you're going to go in there as a little hobbyist with your one brand and making shit in your bathtub and just kind of just treating things like a hobby, guess what? You're just going to get hobby results. So how do you achieve success when you're in a market that's got some heavy competition? Well, first of all, it goes back to investing, right? I need to make my website look professional, just like I'm a coach. Think about that. If you're wanting to hire a business coach, what do most people do? They go to Google and they say business coach, or they ask for people for references, and they get a few names. They get 5 names, and they go look at their websites. If my website doesn't look professional at the highest level, and I'm competing against people at the highest level, I might not have the notoriety yet, but I'm competing against those people for the same attention, the same dollars. I need to present myself as well as they do. And a lot of people I'll see, they'll start, hey, Tony, I want you to teach me to be a business coach like you. And they come at you and they go, here's my website. They think of everything as like a checkbox item. Okay, I got a website, checkbox. I've got a domain name, checkbox. I've got a custom email, checkbox. But they don't ever focus on the quality of these things. They don't ever focus on making things look professional, that's acceptable as the norm within that industry of leaders. And they shortcut themselves because they got this amateur looking website that looks like their 10-year-old nephew put it together one afternoon when he was bored after his nap. And they think, I got a website, you know, that's all I needed. My coach just said I needed a website. It doesn't need to be good. I disagree. I think positioning, branding, marketing, you know this subject very well. Those are so important, and so many people underestimate the value of those. But the thing is, in a digital space, your online presence, your social media, your website, all the things that you're interactive with, those are the first things people check. And that is really your first introduction, their first impression of those people. So they're going to make quick judgment calls based on that first impression, just like when you meet somebody. So it's very important to position yourself and brand yourself as a professional, because let's be honest, Pedro, the market doesn't care. The market does not give a shit that you're a brand new entrepreneur. You just showed up. They're not going to cut you any slack because you're a beginner, because if they're spending dollars, they're going to go find somebody that's looking like a professional.
Absolutely. No, you're totally right. And I see that a lot, you know, in so many businesses, and like you go to their page on Facebook or to their website or even their personal profile, everything looks like shit, you know. If it doesn't look like shit, when you ask them change something here or do something different, it's like, oh no, Facebook is for my friends and family. That was a thing of the past, you know. Like social media is now the new network place that where you connect with people, where you can make business. You make business out of Facebook. I make business out of Facebook. And most of the people listen to this also make business out of Facebook. So why are you not going to jump into this and start doing business out of Facebook as well? You know,
man, even if you're looking for a job nowadays, one of the things that HR does is they go look at your social media profiles to see if there's anything that's against their core values, or you're out of alignment, or if you're unstable.
Yeah, absolutely. I have here so many cases where people they don't get a job because they're posting a bunch of crazy stuff on their social media, or even posting pictures of them smoking weed and all that kind of stuff.
People don't understand, man. You know, I'm all for freedom of speech, but people don't realize that freedom of speech just means black Suburbans from the government aren't going to show up on your door and haul you off for saying something negative against the government. That's all that really covers. People don't realize that there's not freedom of consequence. So you can say whatever you want. You can say all the stuff you want, and they're not going to arrest you for it. But if you don't get to have the freedom of consequence, the repercussions from what you say.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. But I think we're living in different times, and I know that you have, for the past couple of months, you have helped a lot of people.
Mhm.
What are the main things that you have noticed that people should start implementing during this time, or at least for the rest of the year, to get through this? Because we don't know where we're going with this year, man. It's a shit show everywhere, you know. But
So
I know
anytime
that
there's
you,
a, yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
man, that's a great question, dude. Because anytime there's a depression or any kind of industry downturn or economic downturn, as an entrepreneur, that's actually a beneficial time for you to get more market share because you got to realize a lot of your competitors are struggling too, and they're going to fold. They're just going to fold like a cheap chair, and they're going to cry and they're going to shrink and they're going to lay people off and they're going to cut back and try to go hibernation mode. If you have the right capital, if you have the right positioning, you should be getting out there and just actually being louder and actually getting more market share because that's what winners do. Winners look for opportunities to get ahead. When everything's good and everybody's making money, it's very hard to get ahead because everybody's equal. When other people are running away from the fight, you should be running towards the fight to grow your market share. You see me be very aggressive on growing my
Yeah,
social presence and things like that. You've seen a lot of other people that are out there being thought leaders that just disappeared the last 4 months because of the same situation. They're hurting. I get it. They're feeling some pain or they're feeling some scarcity because they see all these things that they just don't agree with that are outside of their control. They're feeling anxious. They're feeling fear. So they start to shrink. And the winners understand like this is a great opportunity. They're shrinking. I'm going to turn this shit up and go
yeah.
get some more of the market share and be noisier and find more customers and get my name to grow out there. So you have to use these opportunities in downturns, whether that's today, 2020, or any other future ones in your life. You need to understand and recognize that anytime there's a downturn, you need to be uniquely positioned by preparing ahead of time for those to get ahead. This is a leapfrog effect. This is when more millionaires and billionaires get made more than any time. Because when everybody's doing good, nobody's really
Exactly.
climbing ahead of each other. When a lot of times when there's a downturn, you need to be opportunistic and think about, I need to get ahead now.
Absolutely. I don't know previous years, man, but I feel like in 2020 is a very unique opportunity because I mean, we as a society have become so soft, you know, that I think that there's more opportunity than ever before. You mentioned something very important. Is like if you have the capital and all that kind of stuff, go and invest in your business. Like go aggressive on your social media, on your tactics, and everything you can do to, like you said, get your market share. But now it said that, and I know you have to deal with this before because you coach business owners, right? But someone tells you, man, I really don't have the capital. Being shut down for a couple months really hurt my business. I don't know what to do. If you have someone who approaches you with capital issues, I know that there's a solution for it too. It's not an excuse either. I know that you mentioned that at the beginning. Like if you have the time, there's something you can do. You can invest your time. But what would be other piece of advice you can give to somebody right now listening that they have some capital issues and need to find a way to keep their business moving forward?
Well, here's the thing. If you can educate yourself on all the main business fundamentals and principles, you can apply those to any type of business. So there's really no excuse to go out there and try to create a new business or a new branch or a new division or a new product line within your existing brand. You don't have to be ultra creative. You just got to do things a little bit different than what's existing. So the beauty of being an entrepreneur, a really good one, is learning how to pivot and adapt while in motion. A lot of times people use their ego to stop them from doing something. Maybe you've got a craft beer person out there that's struggling right now and they're going, yeah, but I'm just a craft beer. I'm a brewmaster and that's all I am. And maybe they've got a pretty strong branding, but if they would just go do bourbon barrel aged whiskey or just something else, they can go get white labeled
Yeah.
and pivot and adapt or whatever that is. I mean, some people have converted their breweries and their distilleries into making hand sanitizer and made a fortune in this time because there was a shortage of hand sanitizer. I have a friend that had a distillery and he's like, we're not selling a lot of alcohol right now, but we got the exact same equipment that's needed to build this. So they just basically cordoned off a section of their facility and they built hand sanitizer and made a fortune in this time. So it's that ability to look for opportunity and being willing to pivot and not let your ego let you go broke. Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that think they're like, I'm just this, like, I'm just a business coach. I'm just Tony. I'm just a business coach. But if the market was telling me that they wanted me to go be a speaker coach, that's a skill set that I have. And the market's telling me like, dude, we're going to pay you big bucks to come over here and be a speaker coach. and I'm not getting any business from business coaching, I'm not going to go, well, I'm just a business coach and I don't want to do that. So you have
Right.
to be willing to go deliver what the client and the market is telling you they need from you, and not put your ego in the way. I think a lot of businesses, unfortunately, go out because they get stubborn and they only know one business model. They're not being creative and they just go, well, I guess it's not working, and they just shut down. So pivot, adapt, look for new opportunities that you can pivot to. Because if you've got an LLC, if you've got a way to get paid, if you've got some teammates, I guarantee they have some skills or knowledge that are outside of your business model that you might be able to apply and do something completely different. So as long as you got a way to report taxes and get paid, you can do whatever you want. And most people are not willing to do that.
Wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I've been seeing that a lot, especially in the craft beer industry. Like I remember a couple of months ago, I had many discussions about this exact same thing. People was like, man, this is never going to be an online business. Like, we sell beer. We need people in our businesses, but now we see that the entire industry has been forced to move to
Mhm.
online. And there's people that they're making a shit lot of money right now selling beer online, because
Yeah.
again, they don't have that mentality of like, oh, we're screwed, like the opportunities out there. It doesn't matter how bad the situation look like right now in the politics and the entire country with COVID, whatever the fuck is going on. It doesn't matter how it looks like. The opportunities out there, So I
Yeah.
think
Entrepreneurs never say I can't. They always ask themselves, how can I?
right. But like you also mentioned in the beginning, everything starts with changing your mind, which I believe that's one of the main problems. Like I at some point had the same issue. Like I was like feeling a little bit embarrassed to reach out to some people to ask for a favor or for advice and all this, or like, hey, can you do this for me and all that stuff? Because I was thinking like an employee, instead of thinking like, okay, now I own my own business, I rule my life. Nobody tells me what
Mhm.
the fuck to do or how to do it. I can listen to my mentors and people that I
Mhm.
follow and coaches and all that stuff, but I rule and I decide what to do with my life, which everybody can do that at this point in time as well.
Absolutely, man. It's all choices.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it's crazy. But anyway, we've been talking a little bit about side hustles and all that stuff, how to pivot during this time, man. And what do you think besides social media marketing and because I think that's a huge thing right now. But I know that there's other skills that people should start putting attention on right now, especially for whatever is coming in the next 6 months, especially that we are going more deeper into the digital world, no matter what industry you're in. But besides managing social media and how to at least know the basics concept of how that you can generate leads or reach out to your customers on social media, what do you think are the other skills that are important to develop right now?
I think the number one skill that most people need to invest in that very few actually do is becoming a better communicator and actually learning how to do videos. We all know these social platforms and the internet, everything's becoming more interactive. We're on Zoom right now, where
Yeah.
3 years ago, if we were doing a podcast interview, it'd be over the phone. See, so everything's moving towards video, and you can't resist it. You may not be comfortable at videos. You may think like, oh, I don't like the way I look on camera. I don't like the way I sound. I mean, that was me 3 years ago. Before I became a speaker, I hired a speaking coach. I joined Toastmasters to become a better speaker. I took a lot of reps. I did videos every single day for over a year just to get more comfortable and become better. The way you hear me now, I'm not the same person as I was 3 years ago, even a year ago. So you got to understand that with technology moving everything towards videos and people watching things on videos and screen time becoming more about videos, you can sit there and resist it based on your limited beliefs that you can't do it or you're not good at it.
Right.
But you got to realize that that problem is never going to go away, and it's actually going to become a bigger problem for you because your competitors are out there doing what it takes to get the business and the results that you're not getting. So when you think about that, is it all it really takes is getting good on videos and putting my message out there and entertaining and educating people? Yes, that's exactly what it is. We've seen entire influencers grow out of nowhere just from doing videos. Everybody knows who Gary Vee is. He
Right.
just started doing videos, little selfie videos on his phone, walking around New York City. And now he makes millions and millions of dollars. He's got a line of wines. He's got a shoe line with a company. So he's making millions and millions and millions, like multi-millions, probably closer to 100 million, just by building his personal brand online and being brave enough to do that, even if there's fear of criticism and the haters and things, because you will get those. I guarantee you will get those.
Oh
So you
yeah.
got to think about this. You got to think of that. I'm just not good at it, and you try to write it off, but you know what? That problem is just like the big elephant in the room, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as more people
Right.
realize it. So right now, I think you still have a great opportunity to get ahead of that wave. and start to get ahead of the people who are too scared to do the things that you need to be doing to get the results you want. So push that fear aside and realize that your purpose needs to be stronger than your fear. And if you need help doing that, go hire someone like me or join the group or do some challenges and be around the right people that can get you those skills, because this is not a talent. Nobody's born getting on camera and talking on a microphone. These are all skills. Just like if you were learning a new language, you can learn how to do all this stuff. It just takes reps and the right people to teach you.
Yeah, and a great example, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but it's my show and what the things that I'm trying to do right now, because I was in the same spot as you when I started this 6 months ago, when I started podcasting, it's like, what if I get stuck? What if people doesn't understand me? I have an accent, English is not my first language. And that was some limited beliefs that I had, and it was like till I got to the point where I said, fuck this. I don't care if I mess this up. I don't care if I sound like an idiot. I don't care what's going to happen, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it whatever with what I have, And I started with a $45 microphone and the camera on my computer. Now I'm into the 24th episode of my show, and I feel comfortable every single time. I got comfortable in camera. If people laugh at me because of my accent, they don't understand. As whatever, I don't care anymore.
Dude, your name is Pedro. I mean, they can't be like, a shocker, he's got a foreign accent. I mean, come on. We love it. We love your accent. Dude.
Right. No, I know. But, my point was, if I can do it, everybody else can do it,
That's right.
If I can be against a completely different culture than mine and living in a different country and develop myself in this way, everybody else can do it, especially if you were born and raised here.
Dude, Pedro, most people say that they're afraid of failure. Right. They say that, but that's also a surface level excuse that's volleyed back and forth between people who are aspiring to be average. They just say, oh, I'm afraid of failure. That's not true. That's not the real answer. We fail every single day. When you go to the gym and you don't finish that last set,
right,
you failed. When you ate an unhealthy meal, you failed. When you didn't call back or follow up on that lead today, you failed. We don't cry about that and think about it overnight and create anxiety. We move on pretty quick when it comes to failure. We're used to failing a lot of times in our lives.
Yeah.
So if it's not the fear of failure, what is it? What it really comes down to is exactly what you touched on. It's the fear of what people will say about your failure. Too many people are focused on what people think are going to say about them, and that's what they're really afraid of. So they're really looking at the people who are potential critics, critics that haven't even shown up yet. They're fearing potential critics that haven't even shown up, and they're allowing those people to dictate what they do or they don't do because of that fear of what they might or might not say. So when you think about that, like, my entire life is within my control based on my actions. And if I'm going to let this little subset of nitty-pitty critics and naysayers and haters like dictate my life, my success, my results, because I'm afraid of what they'll say, the people that don't even support me, the people I don't even love, right, why am I letting them control my entire life? And when you start to realize that, wow, it's such an awakening. It's like, I'm letting these people I don't even care about, the people I don't even like, the people who would never open their wallet and buy a single thing from me, dictate my course of my happiness and my life and my success. It doesn't make any sense when you start to do that. But this goes back to what we talked about earlier, is people simply lack the awareness. They think that they're afraid of failure, but they're really not being honest. They're afraid of what people think. And then go, well, why am I afraid of what they think? And then they go, okay, these people, well, who are those people to me? Well, see, you keep going down the layers of these questions and you realize, like, man, fuck those people. Yeah. Those people are not the people who are going to pay my bills or determine my success. When I'm on my deathbed, when I'm an elderly man, I'm not going to look around and see my haters. It's like, fuck those people. Why would you let people dictate your entire life that you don't give a shit about, that you wouldn't trade places with, that you wouldn't ask advice from? Those people just need to go away. You need to get rid of those people in your life, delete them from your social media, quit hanging around with them, even if it's your mom or your dad. Just get rid of those people because they are the anchor that's holding you back. And most people are just unwilling to admit that.
Absolutely. And I went through that process, to the point that I was controlled by all these things that you just mentioned, that I literally just left my country. I left everybody behind. You know, that's how everything started for me. So,
Mhm.
but you're right. I mean, and I think the important thing is to have that awareness, which people lack awareness, you know, and I believe that people lack awareness because they're so lazy to really stop for a second and say like, okay, can I look at the other side of this situation or whatever is going on in my life and,
Mhm.
and find a different answer, maybe a different solution, a different opinion, something that can help me see things differently. I think that's a big problem, man. That people is besides being afraid of being judged, they also lack the will to create that self-awareness and see what they can change in their lives. You know, I think that's huge. And I think uh, talk to us a little about 365 Brewing because I know this is some of the things that you also help people to get through, you know, because it's a process. These are habits that we have created. You know, that's one of the most powerful things that I have learned this year. That
Yeah,
every
man,
single
in the
thing.
365 driven entrepreneurship group, and the funny thing is you talk about, we actually celebrate when people get their first hater. And it sounds funny. So the thing is if we can shift your mind to go look for that first hater, not by being an antagonist, not by trying to start a fight and getting someone angry at you, but when you go boldly post your thoughts, which I do every day, I go put my thoughts out there and I'm willing to defend my thoughts. And those are my
Yeah.
thoughts. They may change tomorrow because I have the freedom of thinking and I can change my mind based on new inputs, new data, new experiences. That's actually a show of strength when you can change your mind versus just status quo because it's something you said a year ago. So when you go put your thoughts out there, there's eventually going to be critics when you start to get enough attention because a lot of times people are like, well, I just want to be liked. I don't want anyone mad at me. And they play warm, lukewarm, average in the middle of the road, and they don't want to offend anybody, and they're just too politically correct, and they're just trying to cover all the bases. And then
Yeah.
they'll brag to you. They'll say like, "Well, Pedro, I don't have any haters. Everybody likes me." I'll just start laughing at those people. It's like if you don't have any haters or critics, what that really means is that you're obscure and that nobody knows who the fuck you are. That's the hard
Right.
truth, and nobody likes to hear that because as soon as you start doing things to get noticed and actually do things that are worthwhile and people are actually paying attention, I guarantee you will have critics and haters. So the way I reframe that mindset in our group is by saying expect haters, expect critics, and celebrate when you get the hate because that means you're finally doing something that people are finally noticing, and then you're on the right path when you start to do that. And the thing is that even with critics and haters, it's probably like 1%. It's like 1 out of 100 people will be
Yeah.
a critic. And so when you think about that, it's like, okay, then I just need to go out there and do something and be bold and share my thoughts or my products or my ideas. And if I get that hater, come back to the group and we're going to support you. We're going to like, hey man, congrats on your first hater. People copy paste, they screenshot. They're like, oh, I got this hater. This is awesome. And here's the beauty. Our group will go respond in that thread and humiliate that hater for you because that's what we do. We're family.
Yeah.
And we understand like this is a tough business and it's hard to put yourself out there on social media. And we want to empower you and show you that we have your back. And that's what's missing in this world. So celebrate the hate, look forward to it, and understand that it's part of the journey and that you should never avoid that.
Absolutely. Especially in this time, man, the people is so sensitive. I think uh, what you're just saying, a lot of people is afraid of uh, that sensitivity that people carries around now, man. Like
Yeah.
whatever you can say can be something even positive, and people just gonna take it in the wrong way, you know. Which is why it's important to be surrounded with the right people, you know. Like one of the things that I notice is that on my newsfeed, you know, I barely see something negative. And the reason why is because I'm surrounded with the right people. So I'm stay away from all the negativity. Like my own social media keeps me away from all that negativity. And every single day there's something new for me to learn, that something that maybe you post or something that maybe other people in my network post. So it is incredible what happens when you start putting attention to those things. And you realize that most of the things that we do wrong too, they're just habits too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And don't be afraid to be polarizing. That's what I call it. It's not antagonistic. It's not trying to start a fight, but be polarizing because that's being bold. It's actually showing what's truly on your mind. Because here's the benefit of that. Most people fail to understand. When you're polarizing and you're choosing an actual side and you're making a statement, what's going to do is you're going to push away the people that you don't want to serve and you can't serve and you don't have any interest in serving those people. So you're okay pushing those away. And what you're going to do is attract more of the people that you can serve because they align with your message. They see what you're about. You're going to be loved instead of liked. Most people just want to be liked. You'd rather be loved by few than liked by millions of people that don't really do anything for you. So.
Yeah, and that's something that I always say too, like even for your marketing efforts or everything you do for your business, like the point is to attract the right people, the right customers or clients, and repel the wrong ones, because not
Yeah.
everybody's suited to do business with you. So I think that's very important and applies for that too, man. Thank you so much for sharing all this, man. Like,
Yeah, man. If I was a micro brewer, I would have no fun. I would have no problem making fun of people that love wine, for example. Even though I like wine, my wife loves wine. It might be part of my message to make fun of fancy people that like wine and look down on beer drinkers. But you're going to push away snobby wine drinkers and you're going to attract more people that like beer. So that's a win-win for you.
that will be something that will keep me and my wife busy, because she likes wine and I like beer. We like to have fights about what's best, or whatever it is
Same
related to
here.
both things.
Same household. We get it. We get it.
Yeah, man. So yeah, there's so many things and opportunities that can be utilized at this point, man, and so people can be better and thrive during this time. But anyway, we've been almost for an hour here, man. So I think it's time to wrap this up. And I think you have shared very valuable information, man. And I just have two more questions for you before we wrap this up. So first of all, where can people find you? I know people will be interested in learning more about 365 Driven, even joining your coaching program, which you have a heck of a deal, for people to join your community. And if you guys watching this right now or listening in the future, like really, really find yourself, if you're a brewery owner or if you own any kind of business, or you're an entrepreneur, really find a good group of people you can surround yourself with, because that is very, very important for your success. That's something that have helped me overcome a lot of stuff and have helped me become better and start my businesses and all that kind of stuff. So I would recommend you to do that, guys. So talk to us a little about your coaching program, where people can find you. And then the last question is just leave us with that one last more piece of advice you can give to my audience so they can get through the rest of 2020.
Got it. So thank you for that opportunity. So I would say the listeners go visit my website. It's 365driven.com. So 365driven.com. You'll find links to all my social media, my best-selling book, Side Hustle Millionaire, and you'll find the link to join the 365 Driven Society, which we've been talking about in the show. Pedro's been a member of that, and it's literally $1 a day, so it's very affordable, and you get a lot of access, a lot of information in that. It's a crazy, stupid offer, but I do that because I'm all about building massive communities and instead of trying to capitalize on a small few people. So when you think about that, appreciate that 365driven.com. Now, advice. What can you do for 2020? I think the main thing for most business owners, they need to invest in themselves. A lot of times we spend a lot of marketing money. We just waste a lot of money on doing things, or we buy assets or things within the company that don't generate actual profit or increase the top line. Invest in yourself. Get the knowledge, hire a coach, work through these problems. Again, it's always looking for getting past the small problems you currently have, which appear to be big problems until you get past them. And a few months down the road, you look back and go, damn, that was just a little baby problem. Like, why was I so held up on that? So your whole objective as an entrepreneur is to go find bigger problems, which means you're growing. It means you're being more challenged. It means you're doing things, you're scaling your company. So go find those higher dollar, higher risk problems and get quickly through the ones that are just mediocre, and don't waste a lot of time on those. Hire somebody that can get you through those problems, whether that's an expert or somebody that's actually good at what the problem is, and get on to the next problem. That's the way to think about this kind of stuff. So if you're held up on something, or you've been procrastinating or putting something off, go join a community that will hold you accountable like mine, or go hire a one-on-one coach to really expedite and accelerate your results. And that's the best way to think, is because when you start to gain this knowledge and this experience and this wisdom, it's something that they can never take away from you. And you're going to be able to apply this to whatever business you want to do for the rest of your life, or multiple businesses as you start to get cash flow and can become an investor, a joint venture, or a partner in others. So got to invest in yourself. That's the number one thing.
Wow, that's very powerful. Just to add a little bit to that, when you invest in yourself, you also help, not only, it doesn't help you only in your business, but also to be a better husband, a better father, a better son, a better business partner, everything. It's incredible what happens when you surround yourself with the right people. So thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you for really sharing that. I really enjoy your community too. It's amazing the things you have done there, man. Thank you so much. Pedro. But yeah, man, really appreciate you being in the show today, man. I had a fun time with you. And for you guys listening, if you enjoy the show, make sure to share it with somebody. Put it on social media, send it a DM, text message, email, whatever you can do to help us spread the word. And also make sure you leave us a review on iTunes or subscribe to the YouTube channel so more people can find the show and get access to all this valuable information. I will see you guys in the next episode. In the meantime, be safe, keep working hard, and cheers. Later. Hey guys, thank you for watching. This show was brought to you by the Marketing Brewing Company, an industry-leading marketing provider and coaching firm. If this episode have provided you with valuable information for you and your business, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this, share it with them. Send me a text message, a DM, put it on social media, whatever you can do to spread the word. And lastly, if you're a brewery owner ready to take your business to the next level, make sure you head to marketingbrewingco.com and fill out the form to get started and get your free assessment of your current marketing and sales strategies. I will see you guys for the next episode. In the meantime, cheers.